Hello, welcome to another Bible class. Looking at classic stories of the Bible and taking a little bit deeper dive. Today we're going to look at the Transfiguration. Now, we just had Transfiguration Sunday here at the Springs Lutheran Church. It was 3 weeks ago? Two and a half. 3. Will be 3 when this is released. So anyway, just had this Sunday. We just went over it. I just preached a sermon about it. So if you were here in church, you heard me talk about it. If not, you can go online. Our sermons are all up for you to watch. Just look at Transfiguration Sunday. It's right there on our webpage, thespringslutheran.org. You can kind of see that lesson and that story, and I really talk about what happened up on that mountain, how the disciples reacted, different things there. So I want to take an even deeper dive than that. Normally when we talk to children about this, we talk about Jesus going up the mountain with his disciples and just being glorified. And you get an opportunity to kind of ponder Jesus being fully God and fully man at the same time. And this is one of those mysteries that is in the Bible that our minds just can't wrap our minds around. It's one of those things that Jesus is 100% God and 100% man, which is 200%. But he's not 200%, he's 100%. He's just, because you can only be 100%. He is fully God and fully man at the same time. And this has caused a lot of people throughout the history of the church to, just kind of think that their reason should be above the mysteries that God gives to us. And that's led them to fall into a whole bunch of different heresies. What I mean by heresies is false teachings, because they just couldn't accept the fact that it is truly a mystery that God has given to us in the person of Jesus Christ. Fully God, fully man at the same time. So I want to talk about this because when we talk about Jesus being fully God and fully man at the same time, there are certain ways that we talk about that, because we have to be able to wrap our minds around it, just have some kind of language to talk about Jesus in this way. And you're going to learn 3 pretty sweet Latin words that you can drop at your next dinner party. And people will think you're an amazing theologian. So we're going to talk about 3 gayness is. Gayness, the type, genus, sometimes people call it, right? So you got, in your ranking of animals, I don't know, I should know them back, but you have families and you have order, and I think species is down below that. But eventually you get into the whole gayness, like what it is. Is it an animal? Is it flora? Is it fauna? And I don't even know. But it's one of the higher categories. And the whole point of gayness is a category. Okay? This is a category for how we explain who Jesus really is. So the first one that we're going to talk about is genus idiomaticum. Genus idiomaticum. And that's a fun one, right? Idiomatic. So you think of idiosyncrasies, right? The things that you do. So if you're doing an impression of somebody, and I am terrible at impressions, but you're doing a impression of Crocodile Dundee. That's really bad. Or Donald Trump, this is going to be huge. Whatever it is, like you do the same mannerisms. You kind of change your face to do it. You do what people do. Okay. So how do we talk about Jesus? Well, when we talk about Jesus, again, it never changes that he is 100% God and 100% man. That's the truth. Just like all of these things, they are true. When one of them becomes true, it does not make another one of them false. They're just different ways of explaining this. So, idiomaticum. Jesus has human qualities and also divine qualities that all make up the person of Christ. So, sometimes we talk about his human qualities, right? We talk about Jesus being the son of Mary. That's a human quality. Jesus did not come into existence being the son of Mary. But according to his human nature, right, he was born of Mary. But according to his divine nature, he was the Son of God. Now, those things, again, they're not mutually exclusive. He is fully God and he is fully man. He was really born of Mary and he really is the Son of God, part of the Trinity. One of the three persons in the Trinity. Both of them are true. And they both make up the type of Christ. So, when we talk about him, we can talk about his human nature, who he is as a human. And we can talk about who he is according to his divine nature. According to his human nature, he was born. According to his divine nature, he is eternal. And those things are both true at the same time. And it's necessary to talk about them sometimes at the same time. But they all are part of Christ, who Christ really is. It's just sometimes we make distinctions between the two, between divine nature and human nature. It doesn't mean ever we get to say that does not apply or this does not apply, but we just make distinctions when we talk, sometimes talking about his human nature and other times talking about his divine nature. Second genus we're going to talk about is genus maestaticum. Genus maestaticum. Man, that's a fun one to say. Genus maestaticum is, as Jesus, being the Son of God, being born, living on this earth, there are times when his divine nature gives qualities to his human nature that allow his human nature to have attributes above what the normal human nature would have. So, for example, I'm a human, which means I, living on this earth, am subject to the laws of nature. If I try and walk on a lake, I'm going to sink in because I have mass and the water has mass. And my mass is denser than the mass of the water, so therefore I have lower buoyancy, so I am going to sink. That's being human. But Jesus, being divine, he's allowed, or he is able to have qualities of his human nature be affected by his divine nature. This is how he is able to walk on water, to do miracles, to raise the dead, to heal people. These are true. So, on the Mount of Transfiguration, when Jesus receives glory, when his face starts shining, when his clothes turn white, when he's transfigured and able to talk to Moses and Elijah, this is the genus maestaticum showing itself. That his divine qualities are affecting his human nature. Again, fully God and fully man. At the same time, but a way that we talk about it. Last one. Genus apatellismaticum. Okay? Genus apatellismaticum. What this means is that Christ saved you. His human nature saved you. His divine nature saved you. The whole person of Christ saved you. It wasn't just his human nature that died on the cross. Christ died on the cross, human and divine. It wasn't just his divine nature that ascended into heaven. His whole nature ascended into heaven. Okay? Your salvation comes from the fact that Jesus Christ, being fully God and fully man, lived a perfect life in your place, suffered and died on the cross, paid for the sins of the entire world, and then credits that to your account. That is the whole person of Christ. He had to be human so that he could die. He had to be human so that his sacrifice would count for us. But he had to be divine so that he could live a perfect life. He had to be divine so that his sacrifice would count for the entire world. All of these things are true. And again, we can just kind of scratch the surface here because much of this goes beyond our reasoning and understanding. It's like we're sitting on some island or on the coast and we're looking out at the ocean, okay? Just looking out into the great expanse and trying to understand how far it goes. If you can't see the end, how far do you know it goes? You know it goes at least to the horizon. And that's kind of how my understanding is of God. I can see to the horizon, right? I can kind of understand like what I can see, what I have seen in his word, what I can pull out from his word, but the expanse of the greatness of God is far beyond my intellectual horizons. Far beyond the horizons of understanding of even the greatest people that have ever lived on this earth. Because he's God. He fully God and fully man. And the disciples on that Mount of Transfiguration, they got to see a little taste of that. They got to see Jesus showing a little bit more of his glory in a way that the rest of the disciples didn't get to see until they're up in heaven. When Jesus is showing this light that's coming out of being transfigured to show his true glory there. So I hope you enjoyed this little study of the three Gainuses. Again, remember what Gaius idiomaticum is? Little quiz for you. Gaius idiomaticum is human nature and divine nature have distinctions, but they all are there in the person of Christ. Do you remember what the Gaius majesticum is? It is that the divine nature sometimes applies qualities to the human nature that enliven or heighten what the human nature is able to do. I know you had that one right. Good job. Last one. Now, the problem with only a 3-question test is you get one wrong. I mean, you're at a 66%. But I grade on a curve. You guys are all doing great. So, Gaius idiomaticum is that the whole person of Christ saved you. Human and divine. The whole person of Jesus Christ, being fully God and fully man, lived a life for you, died on the cross, and loves you wholly and completely. Forgives all your sins. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you have a good one, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.